You were the first ever person to walk in on the first ever season of the Australian Bachelorette.
I cut her off, I'm pretty sure, because I'm so nervous. And I remember walking away just going, God,
Cringe, right?
Like the cringiest situation you think of. One of my friends had died of a heroin overdose. We didn't know he was on it. It was just a really sad thing. And I saw him a couple of weeks prior to that. What do I do? So I said, look, I'll stay, but I get to go to his funeral. And I had a care with me, went to his funeral, came back. 2 days later, had a producer come down and say, no, I tell you this, another friend of you died. So within 3 days, I had 2 friends pass away. I'm on a journey now more than I've ever been in the last couple of years to find myself, because I guess when you're broken, you find broken people. I think as the years go on, like these men's mental health things are the best things ever. If you're hurting and you've got these problems and you have bad sides, talk to someone about that. Everyone goes through their fucking dark days. Everyone has their shit times. But it's when you realize that you're not the only one and you hear from another person's perspective, you know, it makes you go, I'm not an idiot. I'm not a fucking loser. I'm okay.
Just quickly before we get started, guys, if you've been enjoying the podcast, can I please ask that you consider leaving a 5-star review and subscribing on whatever platform you've been listening. It really helps the podcast grow. Fucking Davey Lloyd, he's in the house. Everyone might know him as, you know, the star of reality TV. You would have seen him on your screens. The Bachelorette, the Bachelor in Paradise. That's all nice. But to me, you're more than that. You'll always be more than that. Everyone who's listened to this podcast has probably heard me plenty of times talk about the story of the first influencer that essentially changed my fucking life with Happy Skin Co. This is the man, the first influencer that fucking changed everything for Happy Skin Co. So, brother, thank you for doing that and welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming in.
Mate. It's good to be here.
Right, so there's a bunch of things I want to talk to you about. Obviously, I want to get into, we'll touch on your experience with reality TV. What was that was like, your kind of mental health experience as well. I want to get your insights on dating and relationships and that sort of stuff. But first, I got to ask, we got to go back for all the people that have been following the Happy Skin Co journey. I don't know how much you remember it. Obviously, it was more of a special time for us. But for anyone who doesn't know, before we had launched the brand, we were just scrolling through Instagram looking for influencers. We came across you. Yeah. I'm not sure if like you guys were on air yet, or if it was just before, because we saw you and we didn't see anything on your Instagram yet saying that you're on The Bachelor in Paradise, which was the show at the time. And then we hit you up with that, hey, this is a brand new product. Yeah. We were the first people. You never would have seen this product before.
Nah, I hadn't.
We pitched it to you and you're like, yeah, sweet, you'll do it. At that time, I think you had about 20K followers. And then, you know, launch gets delayed a couple of times. That's what happens. Fast forward probably a month later and you've obviously been on TV now. You've gone from 20K followers to 50K followers in the space of a few weeks. Talk to me about fucking how much of that period do you remember? Because obviously that was a whirlwind. Were you still on TV at the time? Was it still airing?
So when you guys, this is taking a while back. So
five and a half years ago, bro.
But I remember you guys hit me up and I was like, yeah, man, like, you know, I believe in a small company. They need that little push. And 100%. If you can do it, and if you're a tight ass, I don't know how much you can swear on this thing.
100% swear as much as you want.
So, fuck. No.
Just get out of there.
No, I just feel like if someone's coming to you and you've got that platform and you can see potential and they're good guys, give me a handout. Like, not always thinking about this and the money and sort of things. It's more about like, if you have that platform, helping out someone and like, obviously now seeing it, how that is, it's just that brings me happiness to that stuff.
We were just chatting about George as well, who was, everyone knows, like most people should know, he was a business partner I launched it with. Yeah. You see what Happy Skin Co's done 5 years later. You see his new company, what he's done in the hair care space. Absolutely massive, but we didn't have heaps of money when we messaged you the first time. Like we couldn't have given you a grand. Like that would have been all our marketing budget in one person. We didn't know his influence is going to work or not. I'll tell you the story. Cause bro, it's fucking like, I talk about it. I've talked about it a bunch of times, but bro, it's literally, I can pinpoint the moment my life changed. Because it was actually the third day after we had launched your post. Now, the first day we launched, we had one sale at 11 o'clock at night, 11:30. So we're fucking high-five and go over to George's place, crack a bottle of champagne. Legit, bro. We're like, I'm jumping out of it. Bro, we're backflipping. Like just one sale. But like for context, we both saved 10 grand each, put that in for the business. I had like less than $1,000 or $2,000 in my bank account after. George was the same. So again, that goes back to your point. We're always super grateful that you grew so much and you were still willing to still post for free. You know what I mean? Like just for the product, which was sick. We posted, and what you wouldn't know is, again, all we did was, for people that know, gave Davey the product, which was worth like at the time $250, $300. You posted about 7:30 at night. Between 7:30 and midnight, we'd made $5.5 grand.
Shut up.
$5.5 grand. Yeah, bro.
Really?
Bro, yeah.
I didn't know.
You wouldn't know. That's what I mean.
I didn't. So that's. I should have put a percentage like
I know, but no one
Michael
knows.
Jordan. I know. So.
Well, we obviously worked with you a couple of times after that, and then we're in a position to pay you. But yeah, $5.5 grand between 7:30 and midnight. Then by the time I had woken up, it was $7.5 grand. So essentially $7.5 grand. We're like, holy shit.
So you think that like I helped push?
100%. Like,
Really?
we would have, because what we realized, what was so crazy for us, and we found this super early, like you were the first influencer we worked with. Like the reality TV people, you worked 10 times better than the other influencers at that point that we could afford. Like if an influencer had 20, 30K, they weren't really doing much back then. But you guys, because like, think about it. People, you're on the TV 3-4 nights a week. People fucking love you guys. They feel like they really know. So the word influencer, like the actual influence part, you guys had it. So we're freaking out. We obviously, we worked with you a couple of times from there. We ended up messaging fucking Jake and Megan.
We got the boys.
Bro, we got as many people as we could from that. But like, how did you know, like, because influencers was still this whole new thing. Then how did you guys know? I know you did the show before that, the Bachelorette, the first season. Yeah. But like, had you done heaps of collabs? Did you really know the value of yourselves at the point?
No, I didn't. And like, I actually, because my friend was, and it's such a weird other world because I'm a builder by trade, carpenter. So, you know, you see someone taking a selfie on a building site, you get ridiculed, mate. So there's a fine line that you got to kind of work with. But, you know, I think it's just how I didn't realize it, man. And like to have you guys come to me and I was like, sure, man, like you guys are cool. And I think it's how you approach yourself in the messages and stuff like that. Like if you're like, I'll probably jump from things because everything's coming to mind. After I told my friend that, she's an influencer, she's like, why don't you charge? I was like, to be honest, I don't know what I'm worth. I don't know what this is, but I was like, they're offering to give me this, it's this amount, so be it. And because I'm a hairy dude. So it worked hand in hand.
I still remember the first product you posted with your bold chest and fucking the ladies loved it.
Yeah, I know.
The ladies loved it. And again, I was filming some content about influencer marketing for my education platform literally today. And one thing that so many brands get wrong with influencer marketing is like they'll see you, right? Yeah. Now, hairy builders, from in your own words, they're not our main target market.
No.
5 to 10% of the people that purchase our stuff are male, but like we knew that you're probably, what was your insights back then? Like 90% female, I imagine?
It's 91.7. I saw it the other day. It's 91% female and then 9% male.
Bro, it started a whole fucking trend craze then.
Really?
Right? 100%. That's why I wanted to talk to you about it because you don't realize.
I don't realize all this stuff.
So we made the $7.5 grand. Then I think we hit up like, fuck, these people from the Bachelor in Paradise fucking really work. So we hit up probably nearly everyone. Like we work with everyone we could. And it's like, you know, someone would be 400, someone would be 450. Then like a couple work, someone's like 650. Like it's going up every time. Like, are these people chatting to each other and telling them? Like, it does. Because you need, how do you know? Like,
you do have to speak to other people.
Of course,
But then you get your manager, right? And then, because I was bad at that. So I think the second time maybe, I don't know. Oh no, this happened.
Did you have a manager? Like, did you get a manager?
I got a manager. Shout out to the boys. They're amazing. I didn't have a manager at the time. So I was I was oblivious. But anyway, I probably wouldn't have charged.
If we knew what was going to happen, we would have paid you, but we didn't know. It was everything was a risk.
I didn't know what to do either. But like it's like I said, it's how you guys portray yourself. And if I'm like I had a friend the other day. She just goes, "Oh, can you post this thing?" And I've lost a lot of followers. Obviously, it's been a couple of years. But I was like, yeah, sure. You know, like where people like I charge this for certain amounts. You know, but I'm just like I don't care anymore. Like. I don't think it was a massive thing, but it was what I found with big companies that you would ask for a certain amount of money and they would take, I think it took 9 months to get paid. Yeah. And they did it. And this is, I'm not going to say the name, but they are owned by one of the biggest soft drink companies in the world. And they did segments of like $2.5 grand. It was $2.5 grand to 3,000 for a couple of stories, photos and that. And they paid it in segments.
Interesting.
9 months it took to get that through.
Well, what I wanted to ask, you mentioned it like, because you're obviously still to this day back then, you're very laid back about the whole thing. But you would have seen plenty of people who you're on the show with, guys and girls. Probably a little bit easier for the girls because they're more relatable to them.
Way easier, mate. Way easier.
But like that have probably gone on and pretty much like, for lack of a better word, become like a full-time influencer, content creator.
Absolutely.
Was there any like regret that you missed an opportunity to do that? Or did you Yeah, where was your head with all that stuff?
It wasn't necessarily being an influencer. It was maybe not, jumping on a situation for another show as in like I want to do another block.
Yeah.
I want to do a presenting thing. I kind of didn't ride the wave. I kind of sat back and was like, well, if anything happens. And I really take my hat off to like Maddie J and his missus and Abby Chatfield. Like I know she's very controversial and stuff like that, but there's those people that have taken that sort of leap of faith and happens. And no one really wants to work with you if you're a reality TV person. You're kind of the scum of the earth.
You think that, but I know that reality TV influencers are some of the best influencers you'll find. Guaranteed.
Influencers, yeah, but working with something outside of that.
Okay. So
like, I'm not putting a bad name on it, but I mean, it's like, I think a lot of reality TV people think, oh, I'm this and that. I deserve this.
Yeah. Yep.
So they kind of frown upon to a sense, but out of all the reality TV people, you see people that have shone,
Absolutely.
But in comparison to however many people, it's like 1 to 20, So they've just taken that leap. And I always had building in the background. So I kind of never was like, look, if I do this, it's just for a bit of extra cash. But it got to the point where I didn't want to do it because companies would just take forever to pay.
Yeah. I wouldn't, that surprises me, man. But I think it's changed a lot. Like,
well, I think there's rules and regulations and stuff like that. Like, and I'll take my hat off and admit sometimes I've done work for people and it's taken me a while to do it, but I think it's just because I'm not, after a while, man, I don't want to take selfies of myself. And, and the only reason I take a selfie these days, which is once in a year, is if I can see my followers going down or I've had a solid weekend. I just need some love, So
yeah, get the fucking, get all that dopamine.
Yeah, exactly right. Natural stuff.
What's it like? Obviously, I've spoken to a couple of people off the back of reality TV shows and everyone has a different experience. Someone who wasn't in any of your seasons, but like Carlin had a very different experience after.
Who's that?
Carlin, who did he? Oh, he was,
Carlin.
I don't even know.
Well, just Carlin.
Anyway.
The name sounds kind of familiar.
The Bachelorette, one of them. Yeah. He did the whole thing. But like, because I know because I was with you guys at some of these events and things, you get the collabs, you get all the nightclub appearances, all the events you're getting invited to. How long does that last? Like, how long are you hot for?
Probably, like, honestly, between at most, at the peak, it's probably 9 months.
Yep.
And then after that, it fades. And you've got really 9 months to grab stuff where you can and jump on the opportunities. And I had, before the show aired, I had a manager and he set up all these things for me. And then we did a presenting reel and stuff like that. So when it came out, but it's just hit and miss.
Yeah, for sure. It's like
you really have to dedicate it and want that to be it. Where I was like, if I do it, it happens.
Because the thing, like, what motivated you to go on the show? Like, just a fun experience? Like,
I think, my mate, I kind of always knew that I was meant to go on TV. Like, I had a person, I don't want to swing around a hammer the whole time. And, I'm not I feel like I'm being pretty serious right now and I'm not. Like,
have another finish that.
I just felt like I was made more for my personality to throw around a hammer all the time. And how it happened is I got nominated from a girl who worked at Channel 10.
Yeah.
And then I went and did an interview, right? And this is so embarrassing. This is just what kicked it off. Yeah. She's like, if you could explain yourself in 3 words, what would it be? Right. And she's interviewing me. This is like the second or third process you go through. And I went full blown legend. And she just kind of goes, whoa, cool. And like wrote down, like, I'm pretty much, this guy's a kook. But I went back to the builder I was working for and told him, and he goes, who was it? And he said her name and he goes, no way, that's my best mate's sister.
Oh, really?
So he contacted her and said, you have to get this guy on.
All right, guys, just quickly, I've got some news. I've spent close to the past 18 months building the ultimate program that takes you through the complete process, and I mean the complete process of launching and scaling your very own e-commerce brand from zero all the way up to $1 million plus per year. And now with this program, what you're going to get access to is 15 modules with over 100 training videos and 23 hours of in-depth content, taking you through everything you need to know to build a successful e-com brand. And this is the important part. This isn't just stuff that you can look up on YouTube. This is stuff I've taken from real lessons and experiences building Happy Skin Co. from zero all the way up to an 8-figure per year brand. You're going to get access to loads of custom tools, templates, and calculators that I've used to build and run Happy Skin Co. her. There's going to be one-on-one mentoring with myself and other expert coaches. And there's also weekly group Q&A calls with myself to make sure you're feeling completely supported throughout the entire process. And now what I've learned from consulting to everyone from people starting their very first e-commerce brand all the way up to brands already doing 7 figures plus per year is that there's a process and a framework to follow if you want to be successful with e-com. Now, if this is something you're interested in, hit the link below and go to join.viralbrandbuilder.com. All the information's there and you can book a call directly with me. Otherwise, send me a DM and we can chat there. Anyway, let's get back to the pod.
So I just went through straight away and I was the first one to meet her out of the whole season.
There was the season of
Australia, and I was the very first person to meet her.
I want to get into all that experience in a minute because what I didn't hear, and we'll get into that, what I didn't hear and what gets portrayed on TV is very different to what's actually happening to you personally in your personal life at that experience. So I want to get into that. But before we do, like onto that experience, like afterwards, like one thing I realized as well, doing those events and sponsoring some of the events with you guys is like, bro, we were out setting up events like in the cross and like we're getting papped and shit. Like you guys get papped more than anyone else. Like the reality TV people, whatever it is, for that 6 to 12 month period, they cling on to everything you guys do. How did you feel that? Because obviously you're like a pretty easygoing guy. Like what was that experience? Did you have any controversies that they tried to make up? And,
I definitely had controversy.
What was that like?
So obviously it's just, you knew this. Like me and Dave, Billsborough and Sash, like, wow, like we're tradies and shit. Why are they, photographing us? But you look at them and you got to play their game. Because there was one time we went down to Jervis Bay and I think it was just before Sash, the final season. And we went to the pub, we had it loose and I think me and Dave or something walked home with girls. And obviously Sash, we were staying at Sash's house. He went home before us, but me and Dave grabbed these girls and we walked out. We didn't end up sealing the deal, but the next day we're walking down, Huskinson. And the guys go, dude, haven't you noticed that guy? I'm like, what? And the guy was across the road watching us in a camera with a massive camera. And we're like, dude. And then we went up to him, we spoke to him and he goes, mate, I was actually at the pub last night in the corner taking photos of you. I've got footage of you guys leaving. You have to work with me or I'm going to leak those photos. And we were like, shit, righto. And we didn't know he was there. No one knew. So he must have been sitting in the back of the pub filming us and he's got footage of all that. And we were just like, mate, you want to rough him up a bit, but
what can you do?
They're in your hand.
But that's what you want. You do that, then you're even more.
I know.
10 times.
So and then he goes, you got to work with us. So we had to go set up a day down in the beach, stuffing around. And so he actually didn't know where Sash lived. But they prank call you and say they got a delivery for so-and-so, what is this the right address? And they somehow get it. And he somehow stumbled upon us. He drove from Sydney to Huskinson, luckily stumbled up on us and he would have made millions probably from that, but we work with him. And
wow.
Yeah, man.
So when was that after the show, when it's airing, like in between filming and airing?
This was the one of the episodes just before the final episode.
So the show's still airing.
So still airing, but he wanted to leak those photos of us and I was like, but this is a day and a half without even noticing him, man. And we had people trying to fight us, calling us as a country, saying all this stuff and you're just like, whatever, mate. We end up just taking their chicks off them anyway. so what, but that was one of the times that I had. And then we got chased by, it's crazy, man. Like, it's just like you sit back and you have no experience to this, but you're just like, what the fuck? Who am I? Like, I'm a fucking loser that went on TV, and then getting chased around by these paps. And to have that one taste, which happened more, but I can only imagine what those massive celebrities go through.
Well, it's like it's chaos,
and it's constant bullshit through the media. It's constant. I had an article too that, as the show was airing, they followed me for a surf. I had no idea how he knew where I lived. And then as I was getting out of my car, I saw one of my chick friends and we had a conversation. And they papped that and then put out an article saying that I'm flirting with a mysterious girl. Davey's not the winner. Just manipulate stuff. And I'm going to just name and shame. It's Daily Mail. They're the fucking worst. You've had to block a lot of them, but you got to kind of play their game a bit. Otherwise, you know, they'll ridicule you.
Did Channel 10 or the production company, do they give you like some training to prepare you guys for what it's going to be? Because you go in, like you said, you just whatever, pick for your personality off the street.
Yeah.
It's not like you've started, you know, putting out content like a fucking content creator and it's slowly built. It's one day, no one knows who you are. The next day, a million people are watching you on TV multiple nights a week.
Yeah, man. We actually didn't realize how big it was going to go.
Yeah.
And like one of the times that we had with Dave was at the Oaks in Double Bay, and we're sitting back, man. And I'm like, I don't care if no one believes this, but me and Dave were sitting at the top of the Oaks, and there was 60 girls curved around us, taking turns running up to us, and me and Dave are going, dude,
that's
fuck
crazy,
is this
dude.
shit? Is this? We're just like, I had a couple of beers.
Man,
I know,
well.
and we're like, we're tradies. Like, we've got another name, Dave and Davie. Like, we're as boring as you can be, but it was just because I know, it was just a massive hype, and it was quite intense a lot of the times, man.
Did you buy into that hype and start drinking your own Kool-Aid, whatever that saying is? Because I know some people on reality TV did, and then as the attention starts to dwindle and as people stop caring less and less, it can fuck with people's egos. And when I say ego, I don't mean like in a bad way, just like your internal ego. Yeah. Is that something that happened to you, or what was it like for you when like the attention started to dry up, just back to normal life?
Oh man, like if you say you don't like the attention, you're lying.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just be honest.
Attention gives dopamine to human beings.
100%. You know, and if you're getting all these girls and people coming up to you, it's you know, but I always knew that it was shortcoming. You know, there's a lot of people that try and, you know, ride the wave for longer than it is. And I kind of knew that if you do that, you kind of look desperate. Like there's points in my life where I could have looked desperate to my mates. But I kind of grasped that, and I felt like I've had mates, like I even spoke to Jake and a couple other mates that went on reality TV after me, and I just guided them through it, and so I felt like I was like a reality TV coach, you know, the fucking OG.
There's your next business. There
I know. But people don't believe it. Like I just had a mate go on Big Brother. It's coming out, and I was just like, and she was actually one of the girls that was my producer, and I was like, whatever you do, bro. You think you can trust them, but you can't.
You can't, right?
But they are smart at what they do. The producers, it's not scripted, but they can manipulate you to say things you don't want to say. And why it's successful is because no one has camera experience. It's just a verbal diarrhea. So you're putting in the spot and you're getting asked to do this. And they're like, you have to do this. She said this about you. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you just talk shit and you just stuff comes out of you. And that is why it's successful. And that is why you get cringeworthy sort of episodes and situations.
It's got progressively more cringe, I feel like, since your time as well with like maths.
100%, man. Like I'm at the point now where I'm like, do I want to go on maths? Because I want to get married. I don't have a missus, but maths is just ridiculed. There's maybe one couple that looks good. Other ones just get thrown through the ringer. Like,
yeah. If I was to tier like the Bachelorette, Love Island, and maths, I think maths is definitely the most trashy. But the concept of the show, it should be the least, right?
I know.
It's married at first sight.
I know. So you think that, but yeah.
Would you do it again? Like looking back at the experience, they're like, Davey, fuck, we need you on the next season of whatever. Would you put yourself through it again?
I've been asked this a few times, right? And I was like, look, if I go on it 4th time, like how desperate can you look?
So you've been on 3 times?
3 times, yeah. So and I think I got
who cares, bro? It's a bit of fun if you enjoy
100%. And like I believe it shoulda, woulda, coulda. It would have to be something. And then at the same time, I'm like, fuck it. Like I'm single. I want to have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So what? I could eventually find the love of my life if I do this. If I didn't do it and I miss that opportunity, that's a wasted opportunity, you know? So there is those things, but then it's also like, all right, mate, like how desperate can you look? So there is that battle between yourself.
Do you have to like, again, think of the consequences more now that you have experience, what it actually means? Because the first time you go on the show, you just like, it's going to be a bit of fun, but you don't realize all the chaos that follows. Now, is there a bit more thought process that goes into deciding rather than just jumping straight into it?
100%. So I know you have to play that game to a point, but you also got to be strategic in what you say. So you'd think after 3 times of going on it, you'd have some backup, you know? So I think I was on the Bachelor in Paradise 2nd time I went on. I came in late before Flo. And there was no one there that I was interested in. So I just got up and left, and that's not on TV. Because I said, look, I don't want to go through that rose ceremony again. I don't want to get kicked out straight away. There's no one here with a connection. I'm just going to leave. And as I got up and left, they're all there. And then you can hear the main producers going, you've got to make him stay. Sorry, they give me a burp.
So Simi, it was so funny. We cut him out. He had hay fever the day he probably sneezed 50 times on the podcast.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, we cut him out, so it was all good.
Oh, I'll start back from where we go. Yeah. So that second season when I just abruptly got up and left, they pretty much organised that whole second season to be with me and Flo. But they timed it, and I'm pretty sure that there was a point where they were pressuring me to go speak to this girl, and this girl was with a guy from America, and they offered the American dude to leave, pay him money. Wow. So I would stay because they knew that I could be going. So they didn't force me. It was my own accord to go back to go back inside because they're like, blah, 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 blah. This is, didn't tell me why, but I kind of felt like there was a reason why I should go back. They kind of insinuated something, but then I ended up leaving anyway. But I didn't get a rose, and they kept me again for another day in the hotel because they were trying to bring Florence over as well. But then I got sent home, and then I got a phone call back saying, do you want to come back again? And then I was like, yeah, sweet. So I went back over, and then, that was it.
So you were on it 3 times. When did we start chatting to you? Was that the second time or the third time?
I think it was the second.
Second, yeah, because there's another one.
So it's Bachelor in Paradise. It was first season of Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah, now let's talk about that. Obviously, the first experience, because that's when it all started. As you said, you were the first ever person to walk in on the first ever season of the Australian Bachelorette. Talk to me about that experience and the extreme nerves walking out. Is it like a limo you get out of?
Okay. So I'm just going to be honest. I had a pretty big weekend the weekend before. I got to the Tuesday and I was all a bit shaky. And then I got pulled up and I was with actually Dave Billsborough. He was in the limo with me. And I've never been so it was like a panic attack. My whole body was like, because you look down and there's like a walkway and then you see her standing there. Then you see lights, like everything everywhere. Is elegant, set up, and you see like 50 producers with mics and that, and holy shit. And I was like, oh my God. And these guys, you kind of meet for a little bit before, and they had all these plots and these like ploys of what to do. Like one guy pulled an owl out of the tree and everything landed on him. One guy sashing a magic trick, and just all this, some guy came in like a hoverboard thing sort of, and I was like, fuck, what do I do?
So they'd pre-planned all these.
All pre-planned. And I was like, I'm just going to go off the cusp and just do something. And I was like, so I was walking past like where the walkway is, and there was like a pot plant with fake flowers. And I grabbed that and then put it behind my back. And then I cut her off, I'm pretty sure, because I'm so nervous. And I was like, you give flowers the whole time. I'm giving you flowers, and grabbed the fake flowers I saw out of a pot plant, gave it to her, and said, it's a pleasure to fucking meet you. And I was like, oh my God, I just swore. So that's so how nervous. You start your experience. Yeah, it's this first bit of it I did. And I remember walking away just going, oh my God.
Cringe, right?
Like the cringiest situation you can think of. So
it was Sam, right?
Sam Frost.
Sam Frost. We'll talk about someone who's gone on and taken
the 100%.
opportunity.
Yeah, she's killed it.
She's absolutely killed it. But that experience, what do you remember from that first interaction? Like, were you attracted to her? Oh,
I definitely was attracted to her. She's definitely gorgeous. But I just remember just like, when you say a joke and no one laughs and it's that dead silence, that was like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've made the biggest, awkwardest, interaction I could ever imagine. Because you hype yourself up, it just came out bad.
How quick did it pop into your head? Fuck, what are the boys on site going to think about this?
Oh, all the time, mate. All the time. And it came to the point where I was like, that was one of the things. But I think if you don't own it, like if I know I'm going to take a photo, the boys are going to bag me out, I'll pretty much write, I'm just here for the comments from my mates, that sort of stuff. So
it's funny, like, it's just because, like, obviously you if you've got a lot of mates that are tradies, they're not exposed to this sort of stuff, and you would have changed a lot going through this experience and realized what it's really about. But what was really interesting for me when I was doing a bit of research into you, like I do for every podcast, is I never heard, like, on the media or on the Daily Mail, or maybe there are articles, I never come across it until I think I was listening to a podcast with you and reading some articles that I found out all the stuff that was happening in your private life behind the scenes like you said, they use the edit to portray you in the way they want to anyway. They don't care about reality.
The best analogy I can give you, and sorry to cut you off, is like you're a puppet to their strings. They don't care. They do not care, especially what I went through. And I know you probably read up on that and heard it.
Well, for the people that don't know, paint the picture of, so I don't know the exact timeline, you can take it away, but like before the first rose ceremony, you get a producer comes in and they've got some news for you.
So I think it was a top 6 or 7. No, it was a 7 or 8. And I you can't, when you have a phone call outside, you don't have your phone. So you have a producer come over and they have to talk to your family, put you on loudspeaker, and then they've got to be in the room while you do it. And they say, don't say anything on the outside. And I just randomly called my mum, and one of my friends had died of a heroin overdose. We didn't know he was on it. It was just a really sad thing. And I saw him a couple of weeks prior to that. And yeah, I was like, holy shit, like I'm going to leave. Like, and the producer's like, just stay. And I was like, fuck, like, what do I do? So I said, look, I'll stay, but I get to go to his funeral. And I had a carer with me, went to his funeral, came back, all sweet. And then I think we were at the gym, and 2 days later, had a producer come down and say, no, I tell you this, another friend of your friend had died. So within 3 days, they had 2 friends pass away. One fell off a cliff, sorting away a bee. And, he was a mate for sure, like a good little mate. But I was baffled, She was telling me I'm not here for the right reasons. And I was like, to the producers, like, what do I say to her? Do I tell her? And they go, no, don't tell her. And I was like, you know what? It's right. I don't want her to feel guilty that she has to give me a rose. But when I was in this scenario, I said to the producers, look, I'm happy to go. Like, I feel like my time's up. I said to them, I go, no matter how you betray me, please respect my exit. Please understand, if I'm not telling her, respect what I'm going through. And Sam was just grilling me saying that, you're not here for the right reasons, all this stuff, you're immature. Like, I think you're an F-boy and all whatever. And I was like, if you knew what was going on, you'd understand. And we split away, and I was like, I had tears in my eyes after it, because I was like, fuck, I'm trying to do the right thing. We had a chat, had a really good chat, and I was willing to go. And she said, look, I don't know what's going on, but I can't put you through a rose ceremony. And I was like, that's so good. And we gave a hug and said goodbyes. But they cut me off to look like a fucking bitch and to make me a whinge. I was in a limo, did my full limo exit, everything, but they cut me off to make me look like I was a whinger. So it looked like I got kicked off. For anybody that goes in the situation I am to know what I am and then to throw back in the face, it's just like, these are reasons probably why I wouldn't do those shows again.
Pretty ruthless.
The most ruthless person, the thing to do to someone who's gone through that and try to do the right thing for that. And then there's videos of someone dubbing Rockabye Baby, Cry Baby song to me getting grilled, and I was never allowed to say my piece about what happened. Because
they want to control the narrative.
Yeah,
right?
they want to say she's the sweetheart of Australia, all this sort of stuff. And, I think I did the Dan and Maz interview on a radio, and I just, I had to finally got to say my piece with the, like, just protect her, you can't say anything bad about her. And I was like, what the fuck about me? Like, so I just called myself a baby and, left kindergarten as a joke to take it out of me. But, after all that, I think I put a post up. I think I put an Instagram post up of Sash and Dave, and that was when, running back to when we got papped. But Sam never once called me and said, I'm sorry for how I thought you were. She just sent an emoji, commented on an emoji on that. And I don't know whether because she was dating Sash, that she thought she couldn't cross the lines, but it doesn't take much to go, sorry, I thought less of you.
Because I was going to ask, did you get to have a conversation and explain that to?
No, I haven't. First time I saw her after the accident, after the show aired, she was actually living opposite Dave Billsborough. And I pulled up and I was like, fuck, is that Frosty? And she's like, oh, and she sort of scurried off. And Dave used to live on the top balcony. And I was looking down and she was like on the phone to Sash. She's just peering over like a concrete pillar. So I've never got like a apology, which I don't expect, but it was just kind of almost like I misjudged you. I'm sorry?
Because how did they, like, you're not in control. How, I would have watched a few episodes to try and keep up with who's who, so we knew who to work with and who's like, okay, who not to fuck around with.
Yeah.
But like, I don't remember fucking how they portrayed you. What were you, the larrikin? Were you like the bad boy? Obviously they made you leave trying to look not the best.
I think they depict a character for you, you know, like after that season, then I went to Bachelor in Paradise. And then when I left, I had an interview with all the main massive producers to be the Bachelor of Australia.
Oh yeah.
So it was me, the Honey Badger, and someone else. And I had a conversation, and it was like a 3-hour interview, right? To be the Bachelor of Australia. Because they're like,
what sort of questions do they ask you in that?
You know, like, what is your goals in life? And, you know, what would this mean to you? And just really try and nut it out. And I was like, me, like, you just betrayed me as a fucking child. Yeah. And they're like, well, you want to see like rise to the ranks of you would be like a, you know, the
rags to riches.
Yeah, kind of thing, you know? So obviously didn't get it, which is kind of a good thing.
But Nick ended up hating the experience, didn't he? Like,
oh man, I really respect that bloke because they force you to pretty much choose a person.
Really?
And he went with his guts and said, he did the right thing by himself, which technically should be the right thing. He wasn't in it false. But then he got ridiculed through the media because he looked like an idiot. People like, he's an idiot. I was like, no, you don't get it from the side of it. They make you try and pick someone. But if you don't genuinely feel it, that's a lot of balls because you're going to get ridiculed through everything.
A lot of balls. And he did. He got smashed in the
100%. He said he ran away and stuff like that. Man, the guy was just doing what he thought was right. So like you said, you're puppet to their strings.
Like what's better in that situation, to be honest, or to string someone along for a couple of months post-show just to not.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it is a tough decision, but like a lot of guys would have just gone on with it, you know, and picked someone and maybe it would have worked out, but he just genuinely said no.
How many, like, because you'd be friends with a lot of the people from all the different seasons, like how many of them are still together? Do you know many?
Honestly, like there's Maddie J, I think there's Sam and Snezana.
Yep. Did Sam Frost stay with?
No, they broke up after a year. Yeah. Now she's had a kid and she's engaged or something like that, which is pretty cool.
Is she on Home and Away or was she on Home and Away?
She was on Home and Away.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happened with all that. I think she landed pretty good in her feet with all that stuff. Mm. So there's a few that say that I reckon be like a third of the people.
Yeah.
Stay on it.
So looking back at your experience from all the seasons, obviously you had some rough times, particularly in the first experience. If you had to name like one person, one of your like castmates that really stood by you and had your back when the times were tough, who do you think, who comes to mind? Mate,
there's obviously Dave and Sash, but I have to say this right now, Dean Wells.
Oh yeah.
Dean Wells, you know, I've grown, there's a lot of them. Like I could say Jake, Sash, Dave, you know, Eden, all those guys. But one thing that comes to my mind is Eden. I mean, not Eden, sorry. Eden does come to mind, sorry. But Dean, he was a maths. He got ridiculed.
Big time. He was the villain, right?
Yeah. But Ryan Gallagher was my roommate. He lived with me. And I'm not going to get too in depth with it right now because it's been passed. But Dean lost his job with his company that he was thirds in. And he's still to this day one of the nicest guys ever. When all this stuff was going down about, you know, that the TV thought I had a girlfriend when I went back on the show.
I think I remember vaguely seeing that.
Dean made a video and stuck up for me saying there's a lot of controversy. And he is one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. He's always there for his mates and he got put through the ringer. And I know some things he said could be controversial, but how they portrayed him and how they made Ryan look like the golden child and stuff like that is fucking ridiculous. Yeah. It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
And that is all I'm going to touch on that. But Dean always comes to my mind as one of the guys that didn't deserve what he got. Yes, he might have put his foot in a few things, but under pressure and they just feed you alcohol and stuff like that, you know, but big up, Dino. Love you, buddy.
So you would potentially go on it again, depending if the circumstances were right. What about if, you know, in the future, hypothetically, you have a daughter and she's like, oh, I want to go on. What's your thoughts?
Oh, man, I being on it, the only thing I can do is give her advice. She's going to make her own decisions in that life. You know, my mum was like, I don't want you to do this. You're going to make an embarrassment out of our family. It's you, Dave. And I was like, yeah, you know, just shit like that. But, you know, she's, as much as she was worried about it and that she's kept all my magazines and, you know, all that. And Dad loves it. Dad loves his reality TV shows and all that stuff. But you just got to sit down and go, is this what you want to do, you know?
Well, the thing in Australia, like nearly all the biggest TV shows are like highest rating TV shows are reality TV.
Yeah.
Nearly all of them.
Well, what was the maths was like ridiculous, the views.
Yeah. Like they're doing like $1 million an episode. Like,
oh my God. I think that Bachelor was only pushing like 150 to 200,000.
Nah, I've seen.
As it got progressively older, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Cause I've seen some analytics from the production companies.
Oh, you have?
I've been pitched some different things, not dating shows.
Yeah.
But for me, it's very difficult because I'm someone that has a bit of not a platform, not like I'm famous, but like I have a reputation.
Yeah.
That's serves me every day. That's business related. That I have a certain personality. And it's like one of the big considerations was always, and this is advice from people on the inside and the outside, it's like, it's a risk because you can go in and you can say all the right things, but with the edit, you've got absolutely no control.
Yeah, and I do take my hat off to those producers. They are fucking good at what they do.
Oh,
they will make like something out of nothing, you know, and they are where they are by being so good at fucking sorting situations or making little plots and whatever the fuck they want to do. They can just string something out of nowhere.
And was there any consideration as well? Probably not by the sound of it. You know how like and we're going to move on soon. Like I want to talk to you.
But I might need another one of these.
Yeah, I know. You want to get a beer? You want a beer?
Yeah, I'll go beer. Yeah.
Which you want to grab a beer? Just from the fridge. This is still rolling. We can keep going.
Yeah,
right?
so.
Yeah. What was that the season? Talk to me. We can keep going. We can keep going. It's the beauty of the magic of podcasting. That season was that the first season going into it that your nan was having some health concerns?
Yeah, so she was. And my nan with our family, man, she was like, I don't know how to explain it, man. She was the fucking bread and butter. Like she was just
tied everyone together.
Oh, dude, like I got it tattooed on my heart because there's a spot outside and inside my heart forever in my life. Like she was just the best, man. And you know, when your grandma and that, they get old, and I was worried about that. Here we go.
Do you can open up with your ring or something?
Yeah, okay.
I would expect nothing less.
Look, maybe now you're going to get some deep and dark secrets out of me.
Yeah, here we go.
Mate,
that's fine.
She was sick, and that is one of the biggest things going in there, you know. But she survived, man. And then going back to that, when I first got pulled aside, I thought that was my nan. I thought she was sick. Or the second time when she said, I don't know how to explain this, I was like, oh my gosh, she's fucking, he's gone, man. You know, and it was another thing. And there's so many emotions you go through, man. But out of anything, like if I can touch on like from my heart of what it is, if I never went on that show, and this comes to like if you never do it, I would have never, my friends were always going to die. I would have never found two brothers for the rest of my life. Like Dave and Sash filled shoes that, you know, that they weren't there. So it was almost like they were like a guardian angel. It was just meant to happen in a way. You know, I was in the bunk bed above Sash and he was farting and he just cocooned me. But it was just, I'm glad I did it in that sense because I guess I would have regretted it.
So from all that experience, the good times, the bad times, the multiple times on the show, but also like losing your grandmother and then like everything that's happened since the show in the last couple of years, what do you think, like how much have you grown and how much have you changed as a person going through all that?
I've definitely got a lot of confidence in myself after reading all the comments and I got depression from it because you can't help. Like if you see your name in an article, you're like, I've got to read this. You know, whoa, cool, look at me. But you got to stop that. And if I never got confident, if I never went through it, I never would have got as confident as I can. It was fucking hard, man. Like it was hard to grasp that you're okay. But I've been on a journey of, you know, like up and down. Like my ADHD is quite bad. But I mean, like I can be silly as fuck, but I can also be the most caring and loyal motherfucker you could meet.
Yeah.
So I do think I've grown a lot. Like you do want to hope so because it's been 8 fucking years. Like I'm 34 this year, but I do think that journey of doing it, the outcome, would you do it? Do you regret doing it? No, I don't regret doing it.
What's your favorite memory from the whole experience?
I'm probably going to say, so we had bunk beds and it was fucking like, we're all in a room. Michael Turnbull had there's 3 bunk beds, whatever. I was Sash, me, Dave, Richie, and then maybe it was just us. And Michael Turnbull was on the wheelie bed, and the house is haunted. I don't care what it says. The house is proper haunted.
Where was this? Because they always put you in like a mansion, right?
It was Green. No, it's near the Parramatta Bridge or something like that. As you go towards
over like near the water, near the river.
Yeah. And we snuck down. Like it was fucking every night before going to bed, you'd piss yourself laughing. It was like I've never been to Scouts, but it was just like
high school camp.
Yeah,
right?
but it was so funny. And then one time, one of the boys, I think it was me or Dave, we crawled down and then we just pretended to like get sneaky and we were pushing his bed around and he was going, "Oh shit, mate, it's a fucking ghost, bro!" Like, and then anyway, it was just those sort of things. And I woke up to a focusing shot up my ass. Yeah. So Richie, I was nude the whole time. I was like, this is just fucking whatever. I had a leopard print sort of what are they called?
Leotard?
Yeah, no, not leotard. When you go to hotels, whatever the fuck.
Robe.
Yeah, robe. Yeah. And I was walking around and I ended up passing out. And I woke up to Richie with a fire extinguisher, like shooting it in my ass. And I was like, holy fuck, like what is this shit? And then it was soot everywhere and they were pissing themselves laughing. But it was just like camaraderie with the guys, man. Was
it better the Bachelor in Paradise seasons because it was like less competition, or was it still fun when it was like one girl?
There was a lot of competition in the Bachelorette house. I think it was more relaxed in the Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah, it seemed that way. Everyone I've spoken to that have done both said it was probably a more fun experience doing the Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah, it was definitely less relaxed, but I had probably more fun in the house. I think after a while it becomes like you don't have any touch with the outside. You form these friendships and you don't want to go and you're like, how long can it be? Or like with Bachelor in Paradise, you're pretty much segregated to your room. There's like a fucking infrared camera, massive camera in the room, everything. Films everything. You got to do like a consent form before having sex with someone. Like I think Brittany came into my room, just jumped into my room and jumped on me. And then all the producers ran in going, you can't do this, you can't consent. And they had to say, she's too drunk, you can't be with her.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's fucking very strict guidelines so they don't get sued.
Well, apparently in America, someone claimed rape. So that's why they were so onto it. But then you think like, well, if you're having sex with a girl, they said they just put a fucking towel over the top of it. How do you trust them? You know, we should get a consent form from them saying that they're not going to record this or they're not going to have this to watch, you know?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, what happens to all that footage?
Exactly right. And who the hell is this start saying, who's watching it? Like, you just get it, they just throw a towel over it. But fuck, come on, mate. There's loopholes where you could fuck, though.
Yeah. I'm sure you figured that one out.
Yeah. It wasn't a long, quick route. But yeah, there was a towel, there was a outdoor shower, and you could close the door, but you do have to say if the girl's coming in.
Yeah.
You have to consent to it. But you have a single fucking bed. You can't be cuddling, and it's hot, and there's you got a mosquito net, and it's just like, you know, you're constantly getting watched. It was less stressful at Bachelor in Paradise, but I reckon I laughed a lot more in the Bachelorette.
Because if it was first experience, the first time it ever been done in Australia, like you guys are the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
What about, so outside of all the shows, talk to me about like your dating experience. What's that been like? Any toxic relationships?
Oh man, I suck it hell. I swear I'm the good luck Chuck. Like, you know the movie Good Luck Chuck?
Anyone dates
I'm not fucking kidding you. And girls, if you watch this, I'm single. What's going on? I'll probably get you married if you date with me for a couple months. But anyway, every one of my exes is married with kids. I'm not even kidding it. And I think it's maybe because I've had a bit of an indulge with girls that I think I can do better. Mm-hmm. But in fact, they are the better. You know, if they're getting married after me, that they were the good one and I'm not the better person. You know, the grass isn't always greener. And at the moment, like all my mates are married and kids and like I'm happy to be the fun uncle, but comes a time where like I want that, you know? And I've had relationships and that I thought that's forever after, but it just hasn't worked out. And I guess I'm on a journey now more than I've ever been in the last couple of years to find myself, because I guess when you're broken, you find broken people. And that's maybe where it hasn't worked out.
Cycle, right?
Yeah, exactly right. And I think maybe if those people after we've broken up have grown more and then they've found theirs, where like I've kind of gone through the cycle of like, no, I'm sweet, I can do better, you know, and not accepting that I'm in the fucking problem maybe.
Yeah, dude, we literally had, so it's going to be a funny contrast. We had like the episode we released last week, we had like a holistic relationship counselor.
Yeah.
Talking about all this stuff and all these cycles. And it's just interesting to see. It's like, because the girls, what they do when they come out of a relationship, they process everything that's just gone. They sit in the emotion, they feel it.
They grow.
They experience it, then they can grow.
Yeah.
Guys don't want to feel those feelings. No. So you distract yourself. You tell yourself this,
shit, yeah.
You tell yourself this other story in your head, like you never cared, you don't need them. And then it's straight away on to the next. But you never deal with those emotions, those feelings of why it didn't work out. So it's like you can do that and bounce from, relationship to relationship, girl to girl. And then like 5 years later, like all these girls you've gone and have these relationships with have processed and grown, but you're still avoiding all that shit.
I know. And you know what? That's unfortunate with the male gene. You know, it's like you don't want to be a pussy. And I think as the years go on, like these men's mental health things are the best things ever.
Yeah.
Like I can be so sincere and understand. And if a man's hurting and if he thinks that like what he's doing is going to be a bit picked on, like, fuck, man, we need to change that whole dialect, that whole way used to be is like, you got to be a man, you got to just do this. No, you fucking don't. If you're hurting and you've got these problems and you have bad sides, talk to someone about that. You know, the suicide rate in Australia is mental. Like it's the highest out of anything. And it's because guys grow up as you have to be tough. You can't say emotions. You have a good mate. And I always reach out to my mates. I'm glad it's coming back in tenfold now that these guys, you just need to voice it because you talk to someone, they're going through that same shit as well, but yet they haven't had the balls to open up. Everyone goes through their fucking dark days. Everyone has their shit times, but it's when you realize that you're not the only one and you hear from another person's perspective, you know, it makes you go, I'm not an idiot. I'm not a fucking loser. I'm okay, you know? So.
Well, you like as someone that works on sites with like tradies boys, like I'm sure there's a lot of the people that you come across with from job to job like that are still very much, they feel like they can't speak about their emotions. Has it changed much? Have you seen it change much?
It has slowly got better. And I'm a foreman as well. So a foreman, you're pretty much a psychologist too. If your apprentice or your tradie is upset, you have to make them
These are young men, right?
Well, this is like, it varies, man. You get older guys that are upset, but older guys don't want to open up. Younger guys these days are very emotional and are very tough. But also in that, like you have to pull them aside and you have to monitor everyone's health. You have to monitor everyone like that. But I think it is getting better and it's slowly taking a leap forward. I think it'll still be another 20 years or something like that until, I mean, it's gone crazy with all these them fucking things at the moment, which is fine, but it's okay for a male to speak up. And I've actually wanted to get involved with a lot of men's mental health weeks and have a chat about that and, you know, speak my point of view of what it is. And I think it's whatever they're doing. And Cooper Chapman, man, like he gets ridiculed a bit because the people being condescending, but what he's doing in this world is pretty much saying it's okay to not be okay, that sort of stuff. And speaking about your health and your mental fucking health. And I take my hat off to him because that's, to be like that, you look like, oh, whatever. But he's doing what fucking should be, you know, comfortable and natural to do.
That's the guy from like the Good Humans.
Yeah, Cooper. And I've grown up with Cooper my whole life and has great ears. But he's doing the right thing and he's trying to push that to go further and further. And he'd be probably great. He does a podcast, man. I'd probably see if you can get onto him, even if it's a Zoom or something like that. And he goes to school because he was a professional surfer and that, and he got ridiculed and he went through all those thoughts and emotions and stuff like that. So if I can take my hat off to anyone in that game that's really pushing for that, it is Cooper and it is these it's okay to not be okay people, you know. So
yeah, we follow each other, but we've never had a chat. So I definitely want to get back from Europe. I think I'll have a chat with him. It'd be good to talk about his experience with all that, because I think as well, like obviously both males and females go through mental health problems, but like there was this survey they did with women and they said, they interviewed a bunch of women. How would you feel if you had to go a whole week without sharing what's on your mind or an emotion or a thought with your friends? I said, oh my God, I could never. Guys go their whole lives without
100%. And do you know what I saw a video of too? Is girls when they're a baby, they're naturally made to be like a mother. So you know how they love their dolls and stuff. Yeah. Where guys are just with trucks and playing in the fucking dirt.
Have you seen Barbie yet?
No,
It's
I
fucking
haven't.
exactly this. Yeah, I saw it last night.
Really? Do you go solo?
No, with my business. Yeah, solo. Me and you went. No.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like they're automatically, naturally just meant to be caring and open up and do this, where guys are just like, oh, play in the dirt and eat some fucking bugs and shit, you know? Like,
particularly like when we were growing up, it was definitely like that. The last, 5-10 years, because of like some of the movements and people like Cooper and that are really pushing it forward, I think it is changing. But it's also like the older generation, like you said, it's very difficult to get to them. Like, and there's no amount of like, us having a conversation that if someone's in their 50s and they've thought this about like a certain way about emotions and opening up their whole life, it's like really difficult to make that change. But when I say like, what's your relationship with mental health and what has your relationship with mental health been? And it can be a journey. What comes to mind?
Growth, massively. Like I've had with my ADD and stuff like that. Like I follow all these guys. Like your intrusive thoughts always take over. I started smoking weed a little bit to calm my head, and it was one of the best things ever, right? Yeah. I started learning more about myself. I was not numb to all these other thoughts. It would slow me down and it'd make me have more emotions and affections. Like I was in the moment. I wasn't just like racing around. And I wrote a little journal about stuff and I learned a lot. But then I think when you overdo it, you get deep in your head and you're like, I hate myself. Why is everyone married? Why am I not married? But I think that's ADD going. So I think a lot of my journey in the last 2 years, like I'm a late bloomer. Like it is what it is.
Oh, we all come to that moment where the penny drops and we realize personal growth within yourself is the best thing that you can do. Yeah. And it's like, it goes back to the same thing. Guys think about, growth and personal development. I think it's like, they turn their nose up that like, what are you doing that shit for? Yeah. When it finally drops, and sometimes people in their 20s, sometimes in their 30s, you realize that self-growth journey is the most rewarding journey that you'll ever go on.
I do find as well that all my negative things in life has made me the person I am.
For sure.
Like you can't go through life plateauing. You go up and down. That forms the person you are, You make mistakes, but you grow from your mistakes.
You should check out, do you know who Alex
It's going real fucking deep and I'm fucking
mate, we had Simmy crying in tears.
Did he?
So yeah.
He cries pretty easy, but mate.
He's very in touch with his emotions.
And that is one thing that I love about Simmy. He's one of my, I fucking love him. Yeah. Like, and that is how I got on here.
Yeah.
And then, what did I write? I think I had a few beers. And I was like, I was your first fucking Like I was like, I didn't even know, but I was like, I know his face because it's been what? Since 2018, since I saw his
5 years, bro. It would have been 5 years almost in like a month since we did that event together.
What was that? It
was in August.
Yeah.
Somewhere up Flamingo Lounge.
Flamingo Lounge, yeah.
Yeah. But that journey that you've gone through is look, when did you find out you had like ADD or ADHD? Was that as a kid?
I've known it since I was always very sorry. That's all right. I was always very depth with my sports, like very in depth, but and smart and that. But I was hyperactive.
You couldn't focus if you didn't.
I could hyper focus on things I cared about, but when you told me to do something, I said fuck off.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I got in on year 6. I went all the way to year 12, but I lost a lot of confidence. I could say in 2 words what they'd be: personality killers. You're in a shell of yourself, and you're more sensible and you're mature. But the tablets I was having were Concerta. They would fuck with me. I remember playing state footy and then going from like captain, kicker, from dummy half to second row to lock to inside centre to outside centre to fullback to wing. So all my confidence was going down the chain. If you look at the footy statistics like that, the dummy half is always in the guts.
Yeah.
Second row and then the lock and then you got inside centre, they're playing in there. But I went, fullback's amazing and wing, I'm never saying anything bad about them, but it was because I pushed myself away from all the commotion and lost all my confidence, where I'd be like wanting to tackle every person to where I was like scared to do it because I got really down and
overthinking these things.
And it made me paranoid almost to a fact. But it did help. I'm back on them now. I'm back on Ritalin because I've got to can't be responsible and then fucking there's a bird fucking having a meeting and stuff like that.
But I don't know how much you've looked into it. I've actually done a lot of research on like ADHD because it's a subject that really interests me. But the way that I used to think of ADHD, like if you Google it as well, it's all negative symptoms. Like the classic, it's can't focus, can't blah blah blah, all this shit. Having ADHD, it's just your brain is wired differently. They call it neurodivergent. There's actually, it's like a superpower. There's a lot of benefits that you have. It's about realizing what they are and harnessing that, and not being critical or judging yourself for the things that you can't actually do.
No.
There's the guy who, like Unilad and Lad Bible, the guy who founded that has ADHD, and he's got a podcast called ADHD Chatter.
I would love to. Oh, that's over in the UK.
He's UK, but have a look at the stuff he posts on those pages, bro. It'll make you realize, and a lot of things will make sense looking back and reflecting on your life.
Yeah, it is a lot of hate towards yourself in that, because
it's only now, and this is like one of the things. It's like it's almost become cool to have ADHD.
Well, I know. No, but it's like people are like, oh, I've got ADHD. It's like, do you really? Or you just like self-diagnose that you think it is twisted?
I don't know. We got more of the Northerns as well in there, but
I think I should fucking get
but yeah, there's only been in the last few years because of social media because like I said, you go look at the traditional literature on it, it's all negative. So of course someone diagnosed with ADD will be like, I'm an idiot. I can't think properly. How am I ever going to be successful? But it's only now recently in the last few years, very successful people with ADHD speaking out about it and talking about how it served them. And it's like, okay, without seeing all that content and seeing all the positive reinforcing things, like it's just this negative spiral.
Well, that also comes in the category of men's mental health. If you can speak something positive about it and not think that it's that bad, like you're saying, there's negative outcomes on ADHD, but people are now coming out being positive about it.
Yeah.
It's the same scenarios of all mental health and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
well.
100%.
I think it's just people need to be comfortable. I'm not saying anything bad, but mental health is massive, and a lot of people are scared to talk about it. But when you think of everyone's fucked up in their own way,
Oh, that's so true.
Everyone has their own problems.
Yeah.
Like I've gone to these meetings and all this stuff, and you're like, I'm not a fucking alien, But you just going off. I think I've had a feel a bit tipsy.
But what you're doing and going seeking out that information and realizing how normal it is to have these sorts of problems and how relatable it is. What have you figured out? Is there anything you've done? You said you're back on the Ritalin, which has helped you personally. Is there anything you do like meditating, and we're just chatting briefly before about how much saunas are a part of your routine?
Yeah.
What are some things that you've done into your life that has had a positive effect on either your mental health or your actual physical health?
So battling with ADHD is you're so into something and you're so enthusiastic, but by the time you finish work and you sit down, you're fucked.
Depleted, right?
Because you're mentally fatigued and physically fatigued. Mental one is the biggest one because you're constantly overthinking 700,000 things in your head. So then you get tired. But then when you try and sleep, you can't sleep. So it's like you're feeling what I'm. So I forgot the question.
So what has helped you? Saunas, meditation, fitness. What is it that have helped you?
I definitely think you need to have structure. But the hardest thing is creating that structure with your ADHD.
Yeah, because structure is your best friend and your worst enemy, right?
100%. So I'll get up sometimes and swim early with some of the boys and I do ice baths a fair bit.
Oh, yeah.
But what I found, and this is for anybody listening that has ADHD, before I went on Ritalin, I would do 3 to 4 infrared saunas a week. And it was the most clearest and I felt clear that I could concentrate. My head wasn't everywhere. And I just got all the bad juju out of me. And I just remember to this day when I was working for this company, the guy goes, have you had a Ritalin? I go, nah. And I sat there and I concentrated for 2-3 hours solid without looking at my phone, no, nothing like that. And he goes, and I just wrote in my phone and I was like, always remember the infrared has the best outcome for you and anyone with any mental disorder or, mental health issues. They are fucking impeccable. And I can't push that on someone that struggles with mental health. I love ice baths, but it's only because I feel my body going bad. But infrared, put it in the category of, I'd say it's better than running. I'd say it's better than doing any of that thing. I think it's just one of the best things that, that we've ever come across.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I agree. I think the science is coming up more and more, like how important doing physical things are for your actual mental health. So I'm 100% with you there. Now, before we wrap up, I want to get into your head as you obviously no expert on this stuff, but I just want to get your thoughts on dating, and because there'll be a lot of people that like, you're an experienced man. We'll leave it at that. Now, what's your, and you can be serious or
I'll be serious.
I'll have as much fun with these as you want. It's up to you. But in terms of like, what's your go-to move? Like where do you do your best work if you're trying to attract the right partner?
Instagram. But yet in saying that, it is also, it's all failed. So I don't use really,
Yeah, but
that's a false.
I get what you mean.
That is where most of my relationships stem from. But then you look at it, they haven't worked. But then it's like I've met cool people, I've done all that. So it's everyone would think, you met a girl, you accidentally pick up something and you bump heads and oh my gosh, she's my wife, like a movie or something like that.
Movie, yeah.
But my platform would be Instagram. I probably met up with like 4 girls on Hinge since the whole time I've had it. Hinge is pretty much just a time killer.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to steer away from, like in a relationship, I try not to go on Instagram and that if I'm in a relationship. There's temptations as in like you wouldn't do it, but there's also a lot of negativity that comes with social media. So you like that girl's photo. Why'd you like that girl's photo? Why are you putting up a bikini photo? You try not to be jealous, but these are common things that happen in a fucking relationship that shouldn't be in a relationship. So if you can take that out, I'll take that out.
Yeah. Social media's done so much good for the world, but there's things like that. It's absolutely made being in a committed relationship so much harder because it's the comparison thing. Everyone's in the shop window every single day.
I know, exactly right. And then you also, and I don't give a fuck if people talk bad of me there, but you almost think, is the grass greener? When you're in a relationship, you see someone hot and you're like, fuck. And then you're like, oh, blah, blah. And you're like, should I like this photo or not? It just causes a lot of controversy that shouldn't be there.
It doesn't need to exist. Unnecessary. Yeah.
So, but in saying that, like, it's obviously amazing for businesses, but I'm at the point now, and you're saying about being an influencer and all that stuff. If I find the girl, I'd get rid of Instagram. I would not give a fuck.
Yeah.
I would happily take that, let it at its stress. It doesn't need to be, even if she has it, I don't want to know. I don't want to get jealous. I don't want to be somewhat, not a child, but I don't care when he says you cannot not be jealous with something on social media, whether it's a comment, whether it's something like that, whether it's maybe if you overthink, but I would just shut that down.
It'd be a small sacrifice to make to, give it a good crack to have a, happy relationship.
Oh, yeah, exactly right. But for less head noise, 100%. It's way worth it.
Particularly with ADD and the overthinking element that can come with that.
Yeah.
It'd just be easier for you. Now, another question I have is like, for overcoming rejection, you shoot your shot, you're not always going to get it. For how do you, or what's your advice to young guys or girls out there? Like when they've, shot their shot, tried and failed, how do you pick yourself up and go again?
I think I said this on Simmy's. I got 2 quotes and Miles Broad told me this. He said, he who hesitates masturbates, right? And then the other one is you can knock on 10 doors, and out of those 10 doors, at least one person's going to open. So you got to pick yourself up. But if you're a young dude and you don't have the confidence, you have to be shut down to grow from that.
You have to, exactly.
You have to learn, you have to turn a negative to a positive, and you have to understand that yes, you will be shut down. Yes, you will be turned down, but you need to keep persisting in that. Otherwise you will be masturbating,
And that's the thing is like some people will fucking be like, oh, you can't talk like that. But it's the reality of what guys go through. Like 100%. You have to learn.
Yeah.
It's an absolute skill to be able to communicate with the other sex because look at why humans are here in terms of like going back, tens of thousands, 100,000 years is like to procreate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's our biggest driving factor is to reproduce. So like to act like that's not true and 90% of what young guys think about isn't girls, you're just wrong.
I know. But so I'll be honest, I used to be a serial messenger to girls.
Yeah.
But I would.
Bit of a pest.
Sex pest. But I'll give you a tip. Just delete the fucking messages that you send so that you don't see if they leave you unseen. So you'll message them and just delete it and delete it and delete it and delete it. And when they come back, you're like, sweet. The worst thing is being left unseen. It is gut breaking, but you just have to pick yourself up and be like, fuck it. Next one. And if they leave you unseen, they weren't worth it anyway. So you're just going to keep trying and persist.
100%. Like with anything in life, you have to persist. What about, let's flip it around for a girl who likes a guy and isn't sure if she should approach or if she does, what she should do? Like, what's your advice to like a girl if she's interested in a guy?
Oh, just be the guy in the situation. Like it is so attractive for a girl to open up and come to you and speak to you as someone instead of just sitting back. You know, like there would have been times that maybe I could have met the love of my life, but I've sat back and been weak about it and haven't found it. But for a girl to come out and say, hey, you're hot, it is almost like, fuck, you know who you are. You're a strong person. And it is attractive for the other sex to see that they're confident in themselves to come up and acknowledge what they want.
It's so true, 100%. But what about, like, have you been in the situation, because I've some of the boys shared stories, it's so funny, like girls couldn't make it any more clear that they're into him, but the guys still don't know when to take the hint?
Oh, I think they're just fucking retarded. If that's
the
case.
You just got to...
It's either that they don't know or they don't want to know, you know? But I don't know. You have to be a fucking special man to not realize if a chick's rubbing up on you or something like that.
Some guys don't. That's the thing. And I guess, everyone has to go through their journey, but some of the stories, like, my mate...
Did Simi say something at this?
No.
Simi would all be over that anyway.
No. We'll leave Simi out of this. But I've got a mate who actually works... Actually, I won't get too specific, but there's this story we talk about. It's so funny. And it's like, this is something that like he sat up in the middle of the night in his bed and realized, what the fuck did I just do?
Yeah.
We were out one night after a festival, we went to Ivy. This is many, many years ago. Yeah. And then this girl like comes up to him, starts talking to him. Obviously she's really keen. She's saying to him, she asked him this question. Like she goes really close to him, looks into his eyes and she says like, who's a better kisser, you or your friend? And he's like, leans away from her. Look, I really don't know how to answer that. Anyway, and then she's just like, what? And then he sat up in the middle of the night. He's like, what have I fucking done? Like it couldn't be any more clear. Yeah. She was interested in you, but.
So she's saying who's the better kisser, me or my friend?
No, him or me. She wasn't even talking to me. I'm sitting over to the side like I'm just ready to go home. And
so she's insinuating something like that.
She wants to kiss him and find out.
Oh, God.
Yeah, cringe, yeah. Anyway, I just had to bring that up.
Cringe.
Last couple of questions. This is a bit random, bit fun, based on like kind of your experience with all your many co-stars over the years now. If you're deserted on an island and you can only have one of the people you're on one of the shows with you, who would it be?
Dave Billsborough for sure.
Man. Why is that?
Oh, dude, I don't know. Like we're fucking, we just had some fucking belters. We get it on like a house of fire. He was like I said, since day dot, we just grew.
Yeah.
Like, we just connected. I think I want to do the block with him, the two Daves.
Oh,
he's a plumber, I'm a chippy. So
that's an unfair advantage though, don't you think?
Not really, because a Dave doesn't know what fucking colour sock to put on, like he's that good. It's like, so he's got no sort of taste in that, but you got to have interior design. You got to have that like sort of.
Oh, true.
So yeah, we can lay some pipe and put some fucking timber on the wall, but we don't know how to sell a multi-million-dollar house.
Oh, yeah.
So, but just a comedy act. So we missed. I've just had some times with him, man, and I don't know how the fuck we haven't got a TV show together. Like we
got to get on Gogglebox or something.
I know. We missed our flights because Dave thought it was like the. I think he looked at the flight number and thought it was the time number. So he fucking miss it by a day and shit. I just would have endless laughs to that bloke.
Now, another question, similar sort of weird fucking vibe. Now, like, what's the thing? Fucking like shoot, marry and hook up with
with who though? You're going to say that name?
No, I'm doing it. You can marry one, hook up with one and, shoot one or, see you later to one from any of the shows that you've been on.
Oh, from on
any of the seasons.
Oh, Kieran Maguire's shoot.
Why is that? I don't know.
She
didn't get along.
Fuck. Oh, look, I don't know. She's lovely, but she's like airheady. I'd probably see. I regret my time with Flo too. I wish I pursued that more.
She was cool. We worked with her a bunch of times. She was seemed like a really cool down.
I regret her. So I'd probably actually go back and say marry Flo.
Yeah. She's a good and person.
Then she's one of my best friends ever, but I reckon it'd just be funny, me and Tara, to kiss Tara.
Which Tara?
Tara Pavlok.
Oh, yeah.
And she's a fucking legend.
She's also one of the best influences that going around.
She is so good. I'd probably toss up between those two. Yeah. Only because Tara and me get on like a house on fire. We're like brother and sister in a way.
Yeah.
But I'd probably...
Yeah. Keep it in the family, eh?
Yeah.
Someone you enjoy time with. Now,
Yeah.
what's next for you? Like, obviously, you talk about all the hypotheticals about TV, but I know like you're partnering, like you got like a carpentry company. Like, what's next for you? You're open to finding the real long-term.
Yeah. So I quit the carpentry company. I'm now forming for another company, which I'm really happy with. And any just want to give him, it's Onshore Homes in Sydney. I don't do shout outs to that, but we're looking for carpenters around Sydney wide. They're a great bunch of dudes. If you're a carpenter looking for work and you follow this podcast, look up Onshore Homes on Instagram. They are some of the best in 15, 16 years of being in the trade.
Yeah.
They are by far one of the best people. They look after me like house on fire, and they're great dudes, love a beer, love to hang out, and they're also very caring for their employees.
Yeah, well, like to that point of caring about your employees and not just being a dick on site because you're a guy, do you feel like they kind of get that movement of
100%, because they're also dicks themselves, but they're to have your boss call you and see how you're doing, to have one of the boys got dog shotted in Port Douglas and he rocked up to my job site today. And the guy that got dog shotted called the boss because I really want to work, but he can only see 2D. His retina's
wow.
And he goes, oh man, I'll just look after you. We'll go look at some jobs together, and you still get paid. But he was just picked him up from his house, took him in the car. Like it doesn't go far from just having people like it's like fucking men are simple creatures, man. Like all the man needs is just a simple thank you. Like I dated a girl, she didn't have much money, but she knew I loved ice and soda water. So she filled a whole fridge up with soda water and ice. And I was like, that is fucking, she knows what I care about, and that's simple.
What are you looking for in the ideal partner? What sort of qualities?
I've been dating a few mums. And I think that's because I'm attracted to how good they are and how motherly they are and the motherly instinct of them.
Side,
and it's also like, okay, you get pissed off if they can't reply, but their priority is their kids. And it's like to have that, it's like, mama's boys and that, but it's nice she's got a priority. She knows what she wants with the kid, and to see someone so caring and nurturing and patient and stuff like that is way more attractive than fake tits and all that sort of stuff, which I've had in the past.
How much has that changed since the first time? And like,
what massively, dude. So everything I've dated and I've been through, it was like 25 and younger. Now it's like 29 and older. Don't care about kids. Don't want that lip shit. Don't want that fucking fake looking, look like it was somewhere lost.
What was it? Was it a relationship that ended? When did that when did that switch flick in your head? Fuck me.
Like I think it's when you realize that you're broken and you're attracting broken people. And that was a switch in my head after like 4 or 5 relationships that just didn't work out. And it came to me like, what the fuck's wrong with me? Like, am I going to find this happy after? What is wrong? What is the common denominator? And yes, it could have been them. But if I'm in like the girls, they have to learn from that shit. It's taken me all those down times and those like depressed emotions and heartbroken times to realize that maybe I've got to work on myself before working on someone else.
For sure. You do.
Yeah.
Like you've realized that now, but it's a process because you've had the relationships with like the crazy sex and the intense infatuation. How does that
I mean, you want to have fucking crazy sex and shit, don't you? But you can always there's more to life than sex. Like there is, but I feel like when you're so passionate with someone, you're in love with someone, the sex is always going to be amazing. Even if it goes 2 seconds, but it's also what they do after. It's also how they do themselves. Like you can't be on point all the time and just think that sex is everything. Yes, it is a big thing, but also you can train yourself. You can find your mojo. You can do all that sort of stuff. So I think it's just like, the crazy sex is good, but at what extent?
Yeah, there needs to be a stability there.
Yeah, 100%. They always say fucking good in bed, fucked in head.
Yeah, well.
But that's just like, I could be like that too, but I don't know.
Yeah, nah. Well, I think let's leave it on that. Davey Lloyd.
Yep.
Anyone who wants to get in touch, see what you're doing, have a chat, where's the best place for people to find you?
Look, honestly, talk to me on social media. I'll give you my number out. Davey_Lloyd on Instagram. If you want to email me with anything like that, it's Davie, Davie, Lloyd, LLOYD 89 at Gmail. Man, I'm always here for chat. If you guys feel like you're going through mental health situations, just send me a message on Instagram. I'll see it. You're not alone. If you are that, if you're a girl alone, message me.
and if you can't,
that's just a dickhead. It's too many beers.
And if you can't find him, it's too late. He's already found
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
He's off
Well,
Instagram.
I hope so. So
Yeah, well, we got a couple of weeks until this comes out. So
Yeah.
fucking maybe you're already gone, brother. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode or you got something out of it, do yourself a favor, do me a favor, do your friends a favor and share this with them and they can come along on this journey with us. Thanks again and I'll see you next time.